Hey, man. Y'all ready? Get it.
How rude. Hello there, hello there. At last, where have you been?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
This is where the fun begins.
Welcome back, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, back to Jedi Eternal. This is episode 70. Oh my goodness. Here we are. Finally, we broke out of the 60s, and here we are in episode 70. Today, I'm your co-host, Braxton Taylor, here with Andrew, the indigestion investigator, the valorous vomit venerator, Bolin.
You came up with that really fast.
No, I was actually writing that down earlier. No, so basically we're about to record and like Andrew's about to say something in the mic. All of a sudden he has like a burp or something. He just goes, "Bleh." I'm like, I'm just like dead silent.
It wasn't even a burp. Nothing even came out of my mouth. It was literally just a noise in my throat.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta leave. I gotta use the restroom for a while.
I got like an alien like slithering around in my throat.
Yeah.
No, it's called the good old
Indigestion. I don't know.
well, yeah, basically, but like it's like a family curse.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Anyway, I just had to comment on that. So anyway, we hope everybody's doing well. We are well into the first month of the year here, and we're gotten to episode 70. A lot of cool things are coming up, and so we do want to go ahead and remind everybody, as we mentioned last episode, is that not this coming Friday. Well, let me phrase that. When you hear this, it will be the upcoming Friday, but Friday, January 21st will be our 2-year anniversary live stream. And we're going to have a lot of really cool, fun stuff on there. We're just going to hang out. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk to you guys, and who knows what we're going to do, but we do know 2 things that we're going to do. First and foremost, we are going to have a book giveaway. So that will be happening, and like we did last year, I will be putting up a post, and we're gonna put some instructions and things on there on how you guys can get entries to win this
yes,
book.
and by the time you all are listening to this podcast, the post should be up. So.
Yeah, it should be up. If not, well, maybe one of us died.
I was gonna say something horrible has happened.
Horrible has happened.
Call my mom.
Yeah, call authorities. Something. No. In all seriousness, though, that would be up just like last year. We're gonna have some kind of like and share to get initial entry, and then to get extra entries, you can do that, and then we will be drawing the name live on the live stream, and whoever gets it will win. But second of all, and last of all, one of the big things we're going to do is we're going to have a big announcement. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it now, naturally, but we will be having a big announcement on some of the things we're going to be doing moving forward with Jedi Eternal in a good way, right? So how we're going to grow, how we're going to do some new things in our official 2nd year. So a lot of really exciting stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We're excited to continue moving on with the podcast, and again, not just the podcast, but with Jedi Eternal as a whole, right? There's this community and the things that we're doing. It's awesome. But so we thank you guys and gals for being with us and making it what it is. But let's
one last thing.
Yeah,
we would probably, hopefully, maybe have some of you guys join us live in some discussion. Maybe the plan is we'll be on Facebook Live. Me and Braxton will be together, so video calls should work if we want to have somebody jump in. And so that might be fun. So for those of you who have stuck with us for a long time, we'd love to get you involved and maybe have some discussion. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's another big thing we want to do. So we'll probably be reaching out to a few people, seeing if you would be willing, and so if you get your feelings hurt or whatever, just blame on Andrew because he'll be the one doing that. So. So, without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into what you all know and love and the reason that you're here, and we're going to get into our main program. And so, first and foremost, we're going to get into our news for the week. So, first and foremost, we have news that Dave Filoni, the man with the plan, co-wrote Chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett. So as of yet, and Andrew, I'm pretty sure this is true, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dave Filoni has been a big part of the show, but he's not wrote any of the episodes yet.
Correct. He has not. He's, as far as I know, the only way he's been involved so far is just as a producer. I do not believe that his name has been down as director or writer in this series so far. This will be as far as we know, the one and only way that Dave Filoni is joining, and it will be as a writer, a co-writer.
Yeah.
Him and Jon Favreau will be writing Chapter 6 together. Here's why I think this is important. And just so for credibility's sake, this is coming. This listing was found on Disney Plus's press site, so it's all but. It's basically confirmed.
Yeah.
But also we know that Tamir Morrison had mentioned it before. We know that the New York Times had also talked about it before. But that was back when it was more speculation. But now it seems to be legit. So, but why I feel this is important to know. And we don't, and just to be clear, this could also mean he's directing it.
Sure.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
But I feel this is important because, to me, if Filoni is doing this episode, I think it means we're going to see something that Filoni's already connected to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's going to have some connection to Filoni. Because that usually kind of seems to be the case with Filoni directed or written episodes.
Yeah.
It's because he's involved in that character or something, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about this, I think of a couple different ways it could go.
Right.
There's the obvious of Ahsoka, right?
Sure.
Because he's very connected to Ahsoka. That being said, we've not heard any rumors of Ahsoka being in this show. So it would be a huge surprise, but I don't know that it's even really necessary for this show.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of strange, honestly. So I don't think that's it. But I just had to throw that out there as an option, right?
Yeah.
Second option, and I think much more likely, is it could be the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Din Djarin himself could be showing up. We've heard rumors of him being in this, and we've also heard rumors of a very, very short cameo by Grogu, right? We've heard rumors of that.
Yeah.
We know technically during this time they should not be together, so I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But a third option, and one that I think could have maybe some potential, is maybe we see a clone trooper.
Yeah.
A clone trooper, one of the clones that was in the Clone Wars, or even the Bad Batch, that has, a connection to Filoni, but would really be interesting because it would be Boba seeing essentially himself, right? In one of these clones that, let's be honest, if it was Rex, we'd all be super stoked, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've heard rumors of Rex making a comeback as Tamir Morrison.
Yeah.
We'd heard rumors of that, but it was more rumored for Kenobi, I believe.
Yeah, that in the Ahsoka series itself.
In the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
But this might be a great way to introduce him back so that he can be in the Ahsoka series, right?
Right. And also, I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but as of today, which is Thursday when we're recording this, I had posted on our Instagram and Facebook a little snippet of Tamir Morrison himself saying, yeah, I would totally be down for playing some of the clones. And he's saying kind of jokingly, but yeah, I guess they do kind of look a little bit like me. He's talking about how Rex and Cody, and they're totally viable options. He's totally ready to play them. I'm like, is it a coincidence that we're hearing about this right now? So who knows,
Yeah, and again, when you look at it story-wise, I can't really come up with a reason why the clones would be in this story.
Right,
the stories stayed very close to Tatooine. They've not been leaving Tatooine. It definitely doesn't feel like a story that's really going to venture over the galaxy type thing. We're already halfway done. And so, or actually, I guess we're basically almost halfway done. It's
something like that. It's 8 episodes, right? Or is it 7 episodes?
No, I think it's 7 episodes.
So yeah, technically we're about halfway. 3.5.
Yeah. So I I don't know. I think there's totally a reason why Dave Filoni's doing it, and it's gonna have some connection. But I'm not sure which way it's gonna go just yet. But I would say the most likely is Mando.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, though. Even if it is Ahsoka, which again, I would think it would be weird to have Ahsoka in this just in the context. It would have to be something really tied into it. But we do know that a lot of these side shows are being led up to the event series, which was ultimately what we believe to be the Ahsoka series. So,
well, no.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's something that lead up past that, but Ahsoka series is part of
the
that.
Ahsoka series would be the next, no,
because Mando 3 would come first, season 3. And then Ahsoka, I believe.
And then Ahsoka, right?
I believe so,
That's what we've been led to.
Like
or
to
no?
believe. Is it not?
Oh, man. It's so hard to keep track.
So many shows going on right now. It's hard to keep track of it.
I know they originally said Ahsoka would be 2022, right? Or is that just rumors?
I think that was rumors. I don't know that was actually confirmed. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, even if it is rumor, we all know that they're leading up to this event series. So whatever that may end up culminating to, we do know that most of these shows are going to have to try to tie into one another at some point. You know what I'm saying? It's like if they're going to try to tie into one another, it would make sense that we're going to probably see some of these characters to some degree. But again, yeah, Ahsoka, it would be kind of odd to see to see her in this show. So anyway, I do know that we're gonna have to probably just wait and find out. I don't know what else to expect.
I'm looking up when the Ahsoka series comes out, or well, we don't when they assume it'll come out.
So this first article here says, and this was posted December 10th. In October, it was confirmed that production for Ahsoka won't begin until early 2022.
Yeah, this says it seems like Ahsoka's on track for an early 2023 release date. So that would be assumed to be after what we are assuming we're going to get Mandalorian Season 3 at the end of this year.
Right.
Is what we are assuming. Oh, sorry. My apologies. We're assuming that is what the plan is. So then this would follow. So, I mean, it's anything's possible.
Anything's possible. So, well, anyway, I think we talked enough about this.
Yeah, let's move on. This is going to be one that might be a little controversial to some, but Tamira Morrison, in an interview with The Wrap, confirmed that, or at least basically confirmed that the Slave One is now called the Fire Spray Gunship. So his exact quote is, "We call it the Fire Spray. I think I've mentioned it in a couple of episodes. It is a gunship now. That's what we're calling it. We're calling it the Fire Spray Gunship." So, what's your take?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what I want to say about this, but I would just say I think it is. How do I say this? I do think it's a little silly to change the name after all of these years, because you're taking the name of the ship away and you're just calling it. How do I say this? You're taking away the name of the ship and then you're calling it the descriptor of that ship. So I have a truck, and so I don't know, I don't have a name for my truck, but let's just say it's called the Duke or something like that, right? And I've called it the Duke, but now I'm going to call it, it's no longer the Duke anymore. It's my 4-wheel drive truck. That's the name of it now. You're calling it the Fire Spray. Well, that's exactly what that's the type of gunship that it's the Fire Spray. Like, I can't remember the exact one, but like Fire Spray Type 1 or whatever. So I'm like, it's just like, again, I don't want to get necessarily into all the reasons why they're wanting to change the name or whatever and what I think about it. But I just think it is silly that they're taking this well-established thing. And again, I will say, just to lightly hit the nail on the head, they said, well, we basically, at least assumptive, I don't know if that was ever really stated, but they're like, we just don't want the name slave out there. But at the end of the day, the whole point of Boba Fett, right, is that he's kind of breaking away from being this lackey of the oh gosh, wow, can't remember the people who made him. I can't think. Wow, help me out here.
Sorry, what?
He's not even listening.
Sorry, I'm having to answer something real
Anyway,
quick.
no, the people who made the clones. I can't think right now.
The
Kaminoans. Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for that. So anyway, the Kaminoans, right? So he's breaking away from Kaminoans. He's not their lackey anymore. He's his own man. He's anyway, the slave one has nothing to do with slavery, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, that's all I really want to say. So I think it's just kind of silly that we're trying to bring modern day issues, or let me phrase that, real life issues in the real world into fiction and a galaxy far, far away. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. We have multiple instances. In fact, all throughout the Clone Wars, it's a reoccurring thing where there's legitimate slavery. There's literally slavery going on. There's literal slavery going on. But you're going to change the name of a well-established ship from Slave 1 to just the type of ship that it is. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, was this really a necessary change, or are we really more than anything bringing more attention to the fact
right.
of well, I mean, even slavery, just by having this. I mean, by this conversation right now that a lot of people are going to be having because of the decision to change the name. I for one think if Django called it the Slave One, I feel like Boba would have wanted to kind of keep that name in the family, so to speak. But I do think it's interesting that now it's literally just going to be called Fire Spray, which is what the type of ship that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool name, Fire Spray. I mean, it's not like it's a bad name, but
yeah, but it's just like, again, or like in the I-4 drive. Instead of like, okay, instead of it being truck, it's now Chevy truck. Not the Duke or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, yeah, I think we're on the same page, and and canonically speaking, why would he even want to change it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? I don't know. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. We don't want to try to, get into the weird intricacies of what's going on here, but we just wanted to make you guys aware, and we're curious to see what everybody else thinks as well. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our third news piece for this week, and that is the Book of Boba Fett scores less audience demand than The Mandalorian did in the first 2 weeks. So I'm curious here in a second, whenever I pass it back over to Drew, as to seeing if they're referring to Mandalorian Season 1 or Mandalorian Season 2. But, nominally, and I think I said this last week when we were doing the reviews for chapters 1 and 2 for the Book of Boba Fett. That's what I said. I'm like, I just don't feel like there's enough momentum behind this as there was for The Mandalorian. And not to say that it's a good, or let me phrase that, that it's a better or worse show than The Mandalorian, but yeah, you can't deny the fact that there's less momentum, or as they say in this headline, less audience demand. And again, as we said last episode, I think if you think that the faithful watchers of Star Wars stuff would be there, and the people who wouldn't normally watch it because they're wanting to see their old fan favorite Boba Fett. But it's interesting to see that the scores are that much lower than Mandalorian. So anyway, Drew, what do you have on that?
So according to the numbers here, audience demand for The Mandalorian during its first 11 days was 75.5% higher than that of the Book of Boba Fett in the U.S. and 101% higher globally.
Bruh. Yeah.
And so those numbers, it says here that if we took Mandalorian Season 2 numbers into account, Season 2 was the third largest season debut in the history of streaming, and the streaming share went up 30% from season 1's debut to season 2's. So it says the Book of Boba Fett, as we talked about last week, was 13% higher than Hawkeye's debut at around 1.7 million households watched the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. That is a total from about 46 million TV devices, and that doesn't include laptops or mobile devices, so it's probably even higher.
Yeah.
And rough estimates for the Mandalorian Season 2 debut was almost 6 million people.
Wow.
So what we're seeing here is that the Mandalorian is still a much higher view count than what we're getting out of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, it's just not as exciting, or I mean, there's a lot of different variables you could go into.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what it is, but for whatever reason, it's definitely not getting the numbers of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least.
Which, like I said, I do find it kind of surprising because, again, yeah, I get that it's not as new and fresh as The Mandalorian, this new concept. But again, though, Boba Fett's a fan favorite character, though. And for a lot of people, again, including this demographic who probably doesn't watch a lot of the new Star Wars stuff, which is the old OG trilogy, diehards. I feel like they would probably give this a chance more than they would The Mandalorian because of Boba Fett.
And for people that don't know Star Wars, they don't know what The Mandalorian is.
Right.
But they've heard of Boba Fett, right?
Right.
So, or most of them at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. But let's go ahead and jump into our last news story here, which is that D23 Expo is returning to Anaheim this year in September. So that's going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center, September 9th through the 11th. And we can assume there's probably going to be some Star Wars stuff there. It's always kind of a toss-up because they never really tell you too much in advance. This is a year that we're supposed to be getting Celebration. So you assume D23 may not be as Star Wars heavy.
Right. Yeah.
But you also assume they'll have something there, right?
Yeah.
So if I were you guys, add it to your calendar. Of course, we'll be talking about it as it gets closer. And if there's anything important there, we'll be sure to discuss it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things coming up, and like I said, we have celebrations potentially coming this year, and D23, and we have a lot of shows. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what comes to fruition and what maybe new things get announced.
So I'm fairly certain that something is going on with our audio right now.
Oh boy.
And I'm not sure what, but it has me worried.
So yeah, I mean, in case it's not made apparent, we have had some technical difficulties throughout this episode. So yeah, hopefully it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're checking on a few things here. This is a high quality production here.
I've been messing with stuff like most of the episodes.
Yeah, so as I've been rambling, that's why, because I'm trying to make up time as he's doing stuff. So.
Okay, all right. I'm going to try to focus here. So
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's my turn anyway. So now we're going to get into our rumors for the week. And we only have 2 this week, so we're going to get quickly through them. But we do actually have, I say that, but we actually have several new rumors regarding upcoming Star Wars video games. We have several video games we're going to talk about here. But of course, that is Jedi Fallen Order, the sequel, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and then KOTOR Remake. So we do have several new rumors regarding these games.
Yeah, so Bespin Bulletin really came out and started talking a lot about the Star Wars games that are in the works. One of those is the next Fallen Order game, which we talked about a little bit last week. The expected plan for that sequel is to arrive in autumn 2022, at least at one point. Though currently chances don't seem to be great that it will arrive this year. There are rumors now that the game is targeting a 2023 release instead due to 2019 complications. So, take that as you will. But then on top of that, they have been talking about the long-delayed Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is expected to now arrive in April or May of 2022. And Knights of the Old Republic remake is now expected to arrive in 2023.
Interesting.
Some interesting things to take from this. Also, they're saying that EA shelved a new Battlefront project in favor of a new single-player game. Did we talk about that on the podcast? I don't think so.
I think we slightly mentioned it potentially. I don't know.
They're saying that there was a new Battlefront project that was in the works, and it got the boot in favor for a new single player game, which honestly, I'm kind of okay with that.
Sorry guys, but that's what we want.
Yeah, I'm actually not that upset about that, to be honest. But here's the big thing that all of that we just talked about. Here's what I think is the biggest thing out of this rumor. And honestly, I do believe that this is pretty accurate information that we're seeing here. I don't really think this is that much of a rumor. But here's the big thing. They're anticipating that we should expect at least 2 major AAA Star Wars games every year in the relatively near future.
Wow. That's a bit of a bold claim.
So the plan is that there will start being every 6 months a brand new AAA Star Wars game.
Very interesting. I mean, if they can pull that off, that would be that would be awesome. But again, of course, at the pace that they're doing it now, I mean, it is hard to believe. But
yeah,
obviously, that's not really their focus at this point either, though. At least from what we can tell, So I don't know.
I think that it sounds to me like they're going to wait to release these games to where it works to release a game every 6 months. And so let's go ahead and say that this game, the Lego Star Wars game, is going to be released in June.
Mm-hmm.
If it's released in June, or let's say May,
yeah,
then maybe originally the idea was to get the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order
November.
In that November-December slot, right?
Yeah,
which would make sense.
Yeah.
Now they're saying it may be been delayed, but if we continue in that thought pattern, to me that says, okay, so that would have came out then. So does that mean we would get Star Wars Eclipse in that June?
Like May or June
of 2023 with a
maybe,
or Knights of the Old Republic remake. I don't think Knights of the Old Republic remake is anywhere that close to being done.
Which I wouldn't imagine Eclipse is either, though. I don't know.
Well, according to the rumors, though, actually not even rumors, what they said, Eclipse has been in the works for quite a while, right?
Well, that is
and they're
true,
expecting it to be. Did it say when they expected to release it? No, I can't remember. I think they said 2023.
Hold on.
That feels right, but now I'm not sure. Hold
on. I'm trying to find it. Now it's 2021, obviously. Don't you love these articles online and then they're like, you have to read 6 pages of. This article says that we wouldn't hold our breath on the game coming out before 2024. But of course, that's one person's opinion. So, and then these people say on ScreenRant.com that Star Wars Eclipse may not release until 2026.
So they haven't set a year.
No, there's nothing definitive as of yet.
Okay, so it may be far off. I don't know. But anyways, you can start to see where there could be a pattern in the works of getting a game every 6 months is what I'm getting at. And we know there's also an Ubisoft open world Star Wars game in the works that we don't know anything about yet. So there's multiple projects. So there are enough games out there, and also it's not even mentioning any games that have not been announced but that are being worked on.
Yeah.
And there are some. So I think there's enough out there to make this every 6 months a reality.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
But we'll move on from that, and this next rumor here we have is a potential release time for the Acolyte. And this is just, of course, another rumor, but the rumor is that the Acolyte is going into production this summer, and that it will be summer 2023 when it gets a release. So this is implying that this rumor, which is also by Bespin Bulletin, so they've been really pumping out the rumors.
Putting it in the work, yeah.
They're suggesting that we're going to get Mandalorian Season 3 late 2022, Ahsoka in spring of 2023, and then the Acolyte in the summer of 2023.
Which, with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka, I could definitely see, but man, pushing out Acolyte to the summer, I mean, that's seems a little soon to me, but at the same time, I guess we've known about it for a little bit now. So I mean,
it's been a while, yeah.
We haven't really heard anything about, that's what kind of throws me off a little bit. So
we've not heard much.
Yeah.
Even rumor wise, we've not heard a lot. Yeah. We've had some rumors.
Yeah.
Mainly that we know we don't know, but we assume it is a female lead who has to be experienced in martial arts. And that we assume it's like a kind of dealing with an acolyte of the dark side, but
and we know it's at the end of the High Republic.
It's at the end of the High Republic.
So, yeah, I mean we know a few things, but just anyway.
Yeah, but there's still like a lot more. You would assume if it's truly only a year and a half away, the rumors would really start churning out sooner than later.
Yeah, you would imagine so.
And they might start coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, true, like it's a year and a half away. So I mean, maybe 6 months from now, when it's like a year away, we really start hearing some details.
Because you assume, if production begins this summer, then we're gonna have to really start hearing stuff. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So with that, that's the end of our rumors. We're gonna go into our releases, and we have a couple of releases here. We have Dr. Aphra on January 19th. Dr. Aphra issue number 18. We have the High Republic Adventures Galactic Bake Off Spectacular.
Does it seriously bake off?
I'm not kidding.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
great
for all of you
bakers.
For all of you Adventures comic fans. Thanks a lot. No,
thanks a lot.
Thanks for continuing to buy these silly comics and I have to deal with this junk. No, I'm just kidding. If you like it, that's fine. That's fine. No. And then also on January 19th is the High Republic issue number 13, which is guaranteed to be a big one as we are officially in Wave 3 right now, and it's going to be pretty heavy stuff in the comic for this next little bit. With that being said, that's all of our releases, but I do want to mention that I have finished the Falling Star.
Cool.
I have lots of thoughts, lots of things to say, but we're gonna hold off on my thoughts and things to say about the Fallen Star until after the Book of Boba Fett is over. Once the Book of Boba Fett is over, we will we'll start to kind of go over the entire wave and then the entire phase of the High Republic. So expect a lot of that to come, a lot of going over the kind of the entire phase, and hopefully have some guests on that have been keeping up with the High Republic as well. And we'll really get down and talk business on it and go into some deep details and speculation and all that good stuff. So in the meantime, now's the time to catch up. If you are not caught up, I recommend you do so. If nothing else, read those main 3 novels. The rest, you don't have to read, but as long as you've got those main 3 novels, you'll get by. And they're very good. They're worth reading if you're a Star Wars fan. I truly believe that. So.
And you would be proud of me. I am currently on Chapter 10 of Light of the Jedi.
I'm very proud of you.
Hey, that's
exciting.
That is exciting. I honestly, that was one of my New Year's resolutions to start reading again. And I told Andrew, and I think I've said this on the air before, just to, but I think a lot of times like reading for me has been associated with like work and stuff like that, and it's not really been enjoyable. But I really kind of forced myself to take little increments and read things I enjoy. And yeah, like I said, I'm at Chapter 10, going on to Chapter 11 of Light of the Jedi, and I'm enjoying it. So hopefully, I be able to read all 3 books before the end of the.
Let me ask you this: since you are reading it, which character has kind of drawn your interest so far or stood out to you?
So, it's like every chapter there, like thus far,
has been someone
has
different.
like no one new, it seems like. But from what I can tell, like I said, Avar Chris has been very interesting, and then Loden Greatstorm has really been pretty cool thus far. Those 2 definitely have really stuck out to me, obviously, but those are the 2 really main ones that have been hitting on thus far anyway. So,
sure.
So I guess as we progress, that'll
Yeah, Loden Greatstorm, fantastic character.
Yeah.
Avar Chris, fantastic character. Interesting thing about Avar Chris is you get a lot of Avar Chris in that first novel.
Yeah.
But once you get out of that first novel, she's barely in the next 2.
Really?
Yeah, at all.
That's interesting.
And the reason for that is that she is the main character in the comics. So if you really want Avar Chris's story, you have to go to the comics to see it.
I see.
They only hint at what she's doing usually in the novels.
Okay.
So after the first one, and the first one, she's actually pretty heavily involved in that.
Yeah, I just
and also it's interesting, and this is the last thing I'll say because I don't want to give too much, but I don't feel like this is too spoiler. But in the first novel, you do not get Stellan Gaios's perspective at all in the first novel.
Yeah,
he's only mentioned. He's not. I don't even know if you really ever even I don't even know if he's ever truly in a.
Yeah, so where I'm at right now, it's just 10 chapters in, so it's about third of the way through the book, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe a quarter of the way. Anyway, basically, Avar Chris mentions that Stellan Gaios is one of her confidants or whatever, and he's on his way. He's from he's far away. He's on his way. So yeah, as of right now, I've heard about him, but don't know anything about him. So.
Yeah, so he's almost non-existent in that first novel, but then Stellan Gaios is like the main character in the next 2.
Very interesting.
Which is interesting, but for me, and so I assume it'll probably be the same for you. I very quickly fell in love with the character of Stellan Gaios. He is fantastic.
Cool.
He is so good. He is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the High Republic.
Oh, okay, man.
Oh yeah,
that's high praise.
No, he's great.
Okay,
he is so great. So
nice. Well, no, I've honestly, I have been enjoying it, and I'm excited. Like I said, I don't know if I'll get through all 3 books before the end of it, but I'm going to try my best. So anyway, I just want to throw it out there. I'm proud of myself, so I hope you guys. I'm a reader now.
Give them a hand clap, everybody.
Anyway, I'm excited. So anyway. We're going to go ahead and move on, and normally we get into our community discussion section, but I think I did post it a little too late this week, and I take the onus, my bad, guys. A lot of stuff was going on, so I didn't get to post it as quickly as I liked. But so in effect, only one person did answer this week. So we just figured we're gonna go ahead and post. Just wait till the next time. But big shout out to Corey Allen Wise for answering it. So if you guys want to check out his answer and check out the question, feel free to go to our Facebook page. But without further ado, we're going to get into our main topic for the week, and that, of course, is our review and our take on the Chapter 3 of Book of Boba Fett. So, we in times past, we kind of like discussed our generic feelings and then went through the episode. And I think the way we've been doing it recently, we're just kind of just jumping head first and just getting into our feelings and our thoughts in the episode. So, spoiler alert. We're gonna go ahead and get spoilers.
Well, and one of the reasons why we're kind of just jumping straight into spoilers this time versus how we did it in the past is that you guys actually now have a much longer amount of time.
Very true.
To get to watch this before you hear this episode. Back on The Mandalorian, they aired on Fridays.
Yeah.
And so the next day our episode would air. So we tried to be very cautious of just going all out spoilers.
Yeah.
But now you have multiple days to watch this. So
if you haven't watched it, you don't care.
If you haven't watched it yet, you don't care. You don't care at all. So we don't care.
We don't care that you don't care. No, we're just kidding. But in all seriousness,
but really, we don't.
But in all seriousness, we really don't. So get over it. No, but no, like I said, we have several days in between when you hear this episode stuff. So we go ahead and just get into it. Plus, like I said, for those who have watched it, I'm sure in the past it was maybe a little redundant. We're like going over the episode and it's like, yeah, we know, we watched it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my feelings, and I have a lot to say. But I'll go ahead and give my just initial feelings, and I'll bounce to you, and then we can go back and forth on the different points we found interesting or not interesting, so on and so forth. So my overall thoughts for this episode is that I actually had very mixed feelings about this episode. And what I mean by that is that there were some really great moments in the episode, and there was a lot of questionable moments for me personally that I was like, really? Like there's moments I'm like, what? Why? You're like, or how? Seriously? But then there were moments I'm like, oh, that's amazing, or oh, could it be this person, or oh, that's awesome. So it's like I was really kind of mixed in my feelings about this episode. Like some parts I was like, this is awesome, and some parts I'm like, seriously?
Sure.
So that was my generic feelings. Drew, what are your feelings about the episode?
I'm kind of on the same boat as you. There's some really cool stuff in this, but yeah, there's also some very interesting choices.
Yeah.
That were kind of surprising to me. And one thing I'll say is I was glad that we focused more on the current time.
Mm-hmm.
In this, we didn't spend as much time in the flashbacks,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also very curious why we went the direction we did on the flashback.
Yeah.
And I actually just want to go straight into that if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
We see him go out and venture out of his clan with the Tusken Raiders to go and basically get what's the
Pike Syndicate.
Thank you. The Pike Syndicate. He goes and visits them and basically says, "Pay us, the Tusken Raiders, for traveling through our territory." And they're like, "No, you got to go and get you got to go kill these dudes who already claim it, and we pay them." So he leaves. He says he'll go do it. He gets back to the Tusken Raiders. They're all dead. They've all been killed.
Wow, they took them out. They just took
and
them out.
I thought that was a weird choice because we just gotten to know these characters.
Yeah.
And then they're all just slaughtered. And I guess they're doing it to make Boba Fett, like, you assume he's going to go on a big, like, revenge.
Like, vengeful. Yeah.
You assume, right? But maybe he doesn't. I don't know what he's going to do necessarily. But I don't know what purpose it serves a story, because what I was kind of hoping was going to happen is we were going to see a whole new era for the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
And that group of Tusken Raiders had kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
They'd kind of broken out of the norm of what a Tusken Raider usually did.
Yeah.
And then when Boba Fett came and helped them and stuff, it kind of even more so made that the case. And like these were Tusken Raiders that wouldn't just maybe murder a random family out of nowhere, right?
Kill
Like
someone, yeah.
like there's a little more humanity to them.
Yeah.
But like now they're all dead, so now it's just like Tusken Raiders are back to being bad again, I guess.
Well, and one thing interesting that I personally noticed, and maybe you noticed it too, or maybe you think no, you're just going crazy, but I don't remember seeing the warrior Tusken Raider being there. I saw the leader. They made a point to show the leader. They made a point to insinuate that the kid was dead because he had his little staff. But I don't remember ever seeing the lady warrior one. And I could be wrong on that, but I want to say that that's the case. Because it has like the red and black robes, you know what I'm saying?
For some reason, I was thinking that was the one that was laying down.
No, that was the leader. I know for a fact it was the leader. Yeah. Yeah, it was the leader.
So maybe the warrior isn't dead.
So that would be interesting.
But her stick was there, right?
Well, all the gaffy sticks are kind of...
Yeah, well, she had a special one, though, right?
Could be. Like I said, I could be wrong. I just know for a fact that person laying there was the leader, and then they had the kid's little wooden stick.
And I want to rewatch the episode. I like to rewatch them, and I haven't rewatched it yet. But that's some interesting questions you asked there. I would like to scan over that scene again, and see exactly who it shows. But yeah, it did kind of suggest the kid was killed.
Yeah.
But again, like, well, no, I think he was, because he put all the bodies in a pile, and if the kid hadn't been there, I don't think he would have thrown the stick. He would have been like looking
symbolic. He was like looking at it, and threw it in.
So I think,
and I don't think they're going to show them throwing the kid's body into the fire.
Exactly. Yeah. Star Wars hasn't gone that dark.
Nah, that dark. Or at least Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's interesting thought though. But that was one of my issues. Now I'm going to get into the big issue I had.
Okay.
And this is the biggest issue I had with the episode.
Okay.
And that was the cyberpunk street gang.
Oh, yes. That's my biggest word thing.
The cyberpunk street gang.
What is this, bro?
With their Teletubby scooters.
Oh my gosh, dude! What is this? It's like Marty McFly, like the second movie when they're in the future.
Yeah,
like Buzz and his evil cybernetic gang. Like that's what it looked like.
It's like, I'm not against new ideas and new things, but it stood out so far.
Yeah,
from what we know of Tatooine, right?
Like cybernetic.
And I get they're supposed to be like rebel kids. They're trying to be whatever, but like it's so different than what we see in Tatooine that it's like too much. It took me out of it. So
this is where I look at it, right? I could 100% see. Okay, first of all, let me back up even further. Right, cybernetic implants in humans. That's been a thing in Star Wars for a long time. We know that.
Right.
But that specific gang, that would have made 100 times more sense on like Coruscant. Not on Tatooine. Like, all we continually see in almost every reference of Tatooine is people scraping by just to make themselves a speeder, or scraping by to put stuff together to make a droid for themselves. Not to, like, have these perfect, pristine, cybernetic implants. Like, where did they get this from? They're just a street gang who doesn't have a job that they admitted themselves.
Yeah, and their scooters are, like...
perfectly clean neon
they're
colors.
Like the brightest colors I've seen in Star Wars ever.
It's not Tatooine. That's just
and then they
crazy.
go on the slowest chase scene I've ever seen. Like, those speeders were going like 2 miles per hour.
That was I'm like sitting there looking screaming like, are you kidding me? Like, why are they going so slow? Like, it almost made me mad.
And then like the CGI was not great.
Not
great.
I literally remember watching it and thinking, like, this literally looks, in certain scenes, it looked like someone was just like with a handheld camera or like a video like on their phone, like was recording it. You know what I'm saying?
And honestly, like, while I was watching it, what came to my mind is this is the same universe that had the pod racing in episode 1.
Yeah.
And like
in 1999.
And it's way better than what we just got in that, right?
Infinitely.
I mean, the pod racing scene to this day is like, it's impressive. It's really good.
23 years later.
Yeah. I mean, and like, here we are, and like, it was
just bad. It was very bad.
And like, parts of it were funny and and everything, but like overall I was just like, ugh, that wasn't good.
Yeah, that was my biggest complaint about the whole episode. 100%. It just really took me out. It took me out of the episode.
Yeah, and
100%.
And unfortunately, I think we're gonna be seeing a lot more of this group.
So, and it makes sense 100% that now he's the daimyo and he's trying to get his own posse like Jabba had, right? Where like he was the posse for Jabba, he's trying to get his own posse. Makes complete sense. But it's just and again, cybernetically enhanced like thugs, that also makes sense to be his menagerie. But it's like like it's just how they executed it was just
right.
for lack of better words.
Right. No, it's
so. But there were some cool things too. So let's not dog.
I was gonna say,
there's some really cool
stuff to discuss as well.
Right as he comes out of his dream state in the past, obviously immediately jump scare. We get Black Chrysanthemum choking, ripping him out of the
just
back
like
tank.
yes,
it was amazing. It was amazing.
It was so out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. And it was a pretty decent battle ensued. He takes his gaffy stick and stabs him 2 different times, and
Boba's getting his
thrashed,
butt destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting flung around,
Yeah.
and he's let's be honest, Boba Fett is not 100%. Obviously,
No,
like
clearly.
literally, he has to like be in that thing.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like it's showing he has to go in there a lot just to keep going. And so, he's struggling to, and that's why he's surrounding himself with strong people, right?
Yeah.
And so Black Chrysanthemum shows up, throws him out, and my first thought when I seen that is, how did Black Chrysanthemum get in there?
And that's like I said, immediately all the little guys run in. I'm like, how did he get past this big lumbering dude? Like how? Yeah, he's not a stealth guy.
No,
he can like shoot everybody, break their necks, and come in.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how that happened, but so he goes. They all come in, which not. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool that they came in and they're all like against like, so you got like how many people in there against Black Chrysanthemum?
Let's just say 6.
It was kind of cool though. They're all surrounding him, and Black Chrysanthemum's like looking around, and then they're all like attacking him from different directions. But he's huge, right?
Exactly.
And so. And then Boba keeps like getting back up and doing something to him, and then Black Chrysanthemum just throws him across the room again.
Yeah. The only complaint I have about this is that like a couple of different things. I mean, it's just like what we know from Chrysanthemum, right? Is like he's like called the Gladiator. We see him in the comics and in Vader and Dr. Aphra, and it's like, okay, I don't know how I'm trying to say is like basically like this dude should have killed at least 1 or 2 of the gang. He should have taken out one of the Gamorreans, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
And
well, he almost took out one of the Gamorreans.
Well, he bit him.
He like bit a chunk out of him,
Yeah.
and then Boba was like, "Go put him in the back of the tank."
Well, and then plus, Black Chrysanthemum literally not even just punches, but takes electrified brass knuckles and punch Boba Fett, and nothing happens.
Like, actually, did he actually punch him with the brass knuckles?
Yes, I'm like 99.9999% sure.
Because I was thinking maybe activate him and then something.
No, because I remember this bam.
Maybe he
hits him,
did.
and then he like breaks him over his knee, and so I'm like, it was very cool. I'm just like, at the end of the day, Chrysanthemum could have like ripped him in half, probably knocked his head off without the brass knuckles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wish there's a little more carnage to that, but it's a minor complaint, I suppose.
No. I'm with you though. Like it would have been more effective if he would have killed something.
Yeah, I mean they have plenty of the gang members. They're like no.
They don't need all the gang members. Just
kill at least 1 or 2.
Let them rip an arm off or something, right? Like
exactly.
Wookiees are known for ripping arms off.
Exactly.
Let them rip an arm off.
If one would attack him, grabbed his head, ripped his like cybernetic arm to be safe.
There you go.
And then slap somebody else with it. Dude, that would have been
good.
Missed opportunity.
That would have been really good. Come on, John Favreau. What's wrong with you?
Come on, you're failing us.
So I see exactly what you mean, and then my biggest question.
Go ahead.
What is this? What?
Go ahead. I think I know what you're gonna say.
My biggest thing is, where was Finnick?
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. In fact, I was watching my dad. I'm like, "Where's Finnick? Where's Finnick?" And Dad's like, "Where's the lady at?" I'm like, "Finnick, yes."
Yeah, it's like, and I'm sitting there watching with my wife, and all this is happening. I'm like, where in the world is Finnick? Because I know Finnick goes in there Chrysanthemum's in trouble. Finnick is a master assassin.
She's master assassin.
Like
yeah.
she can take out.
Like the show kind of downplays her a little bit, but she's supposed to be a master assassin.
Yeah, like she could kill him in a heartbeat if she wanted to. Right. Yeah. That's the way I take Finnick. And I think that is her capabilities. Like she wouldn't even have to go near him. She could use her gun and probably kill him instantly.
Yeah.
So that's where it was like, what is she doing? And then it never really necessarily addresses it, other than she shows up next to the once they like come out of the Boba's room or whatever.
Like she's behind the throne.
She's behind the throne and tells them to back up, and then she sends them down the chute. So my question is there actually some meaning to that? Is Finnick maybe not to be as trusted as we think?
Oh, interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I would go along with that. Or let me say that. I would maybe think that's maybe a little bit more true if it wasn't for the fact that the whole gang just like finally showed up later on. Like, how did he sneak through the whole gang type thing? Like, I think it was just kind of like writing, but that's just me.
No, and you're probably right. It's probably she was just busy, or maybe she had just gotten back. You just never really know.
Could be anything, yeah.
It could be anything. But I just wanted to kind of throw out a possible...
It could be. That would be a very interesting story
solution to why she wasn't there.
What if eventually... Well, just a spoiler alert, he eventually releases Black Chrysanthemum, right? What if Black Chrysanthemum comes back, fights with Boba against Finnick? She actually turns on him. Who knows? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Yeah, it's
crazy stuff.
I don't really think that she's gonna betray him. I think that she kind of like in a sense owes a life debt to him, and I think she's pretty serious about it. But that's just a possibility, right?
Right.
So, moving on from that, then they decide to, so they capture Black Chrysanthemum, and then the Hutts show up, the twins.
Yeah. So
we get an appearance of the twins again, and surprisingly, and this was very surprising to me, the twins are like,
sorry.
They're like, so yeah, we tried to kill you. We sent Black Chrysanthemum to try to kill you, but it didn't work. So you can do whatever you want with them. We're out of here.
Yeah.
They're like
because this land is promised to another.
Yes.
That was very interesting.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that too.
I have some theories on that.
I do too. I wonder if we're going in the same direction. I'm sure we're probably going in the same direction. We'll talk about that in a minute, but so Black Chrysanthemum is basically, they're like, do whatever you want with them. We're gone. I like how they basically are like, Tatooine's worthless anyway, and like it's just funny. But
and they have a great gift for him, which was amazing.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about that too. So, but the one thing that blew my mind, and I was really hoping, because when they said you can have Black Chrysanthemum, I'm like, oh yes. Yeah. I thought Black Chrysanthemum was gonna have Black Chrysanthemum join him. Yeah, and he was gonna be like his Wookiee bodyguard, and I was like, yes. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. But no, he's like, just go away, and then Black Chrysanthemum just kind of like trots away into the desert, son.
Like, right.
I'm like, no, that was a perfect opportunity.
And he's like, hey, you owe me a life debt. I could kill you. I'm letting you free. So
yeah. Fun fact for all of you who are watching it. A lot of you probably don't know this if you don't follow Star Wars comics. Black Chrysanthemum has a huge scar on his face, right? He's got like I don't know how well you can see it in the TV show.
Not great.
But he does have one. It's on his left. I think it's his left eye. Anyway, it's there if you look. But anyways, he's got a big scar. That scar comes from the one and only Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Really? Okay, yes. I actually didn't know that. That's interesting.
That's just a little fun tidbit for you. At one point, they send, while Obi-Wan is in exile, or not exile, but kind of exile, when he's watching over Luke and Tatooine.
Lucas, yeah.
Little Georgie Lucas Jr.
Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta say this. It reminds me of like when Kanye West was like talking like Joe Rogan. He's like, who wrote? Or it's like, his name's what? It's like Luke Skywalker. He's like, and who wrote Star Wars? George Lucas. Lucas? It's like, this story's written about him. He kissed his own sister. Anyway,
that's pretty good. What was I don't even remember what I was saying now.
When Obi-Wan's exile watching over Luke. Yeah.
So they send Black Chrysanthemum after him to kill him. Of course, Obi-Wan dispatches of him.
Yes.
But in that fight, he slashes his saber at him, and it gashes his eye, and so there you go. There's cool. There's a little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi in this show. Just knowing, it gives me comfort knowing I can look at that scar in that episode and be like, that's there because of my favorite Star Wars character.
Exactly,
and it makes me feel good.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So that's just a fun little tidbit. But moving on. Then comes an epic thing that I just absolutely loved.
Epic.
And
Absolutely
I cannot
epic.
wait for what this means for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But the twins gift Boba a young Rancor. Which
I'm just so pumped about that.
Let's not forget the rumor that we spoke of on this show months ago. We spoke of a rumor on the Book of Boba Fett. If you don't want to hear this, skip forward just a little bit. But I am going to mention this rumor because it does seem now that it's going to be very true. And the rumor was that we would get Boba Fett riding a Rancor through the streets of Tatooine.
Yeah.
That seems very likely now because he says that he wants to learn how to ride it.
And let's not forget that Machete is the Danny Trejo is the
Danny Trejo is the when I saw him I'm like, what in the world?
Why is he the Rancor trainer?
So I actually do have an explanation for that. It feels and is super random, right? But when you actually kind of look into it, it's not as random as you might think, and the reason for that is the director, which is
Kenny Rodriguez,
Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez.
Who's over Spy Kids?
Yes, he did Spy Kids.
Uncle Machete.
And so Danny Trejo is his cousin.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so anything that he's involved in, he usually brings him in as a character.
Which I know he was in Spy Kids, right?
So pretty much anything, though, that he does, he brings him in as something. It's kind of like part of, directors do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's one of his, is he always brings
his
them
stipulation,
in.
like he has to be
Yeah. So this is his appearance, and I assume we'll get more of them. But it's just, and it's always like there's an extra level of awkwardness when you get a well-known face in Star Wars,
especially Machete. I mean, come on. So it's like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it was like his kind of bad acting or if he was just like really untrustworthy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
He'll be back, my little Rancorito.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and so another thing about this episode is that they do talk about kind of a Rancor is actually not necessarily this like hideous monster from the start, right?
Docile.
And that the first person it sees kind of becomes like it's like its daddy or whatever, right? So of course it opens its eyes and sees Boba, and you can tell like this is actually gonna like they're gonna end up being like super close.
So and that's the thing. Like, was that true, or was like Machete lying, and like the first person that sees it wants to kill? You know what I'm saying?
So there was this weirdness though to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think they won't. I think they're playing it off like, can you trust what he's saying?
Because like it was a gift from the twins.
There was a lot, and there was a lot of like long pauses, and I think they feel like they were drawing it out. My wife was sitting there, she's like, "Oh, I think he's gonna bite him," you know, like she thought for sure he was gonna like snap because it did. It made you think like it was about to happen.
Yeah,
but it didn't, and I tend to think that it's true that this will actually. It's actually going to end up like Boba and this Rancor are gonna have like a really close relationship, and we're gonna see some really cool stuff because of it.
I hope that's I want that to be true so bad.
Like we're gonna see Boba riding a Rancor.
That's what I'm saying. Well, he doesn't get respect or whatever. Okay, he doesn't have a menagerie, or he doesn't have his what do they call it? The whole like parade thing.
Yeah.
Whatever
what
they
is
called
it?
But
they say it all the time because everyone goes, "Where's
your?" I was hoping to see. I was hoping if I did that,
me too. Everyone's screaming at us again, you know.
Yeah, like it's
this, you idiots! Why do you have a podcast about Star Wars when you can't remember anything?
Something you just watched, you idiots. You're aliens. That's what my mother used to. Anyway, no. So it's like, okay, I don't care about a bunch of idiots carrying me around on a little throne, dude. I'm riding a Rancor through the streets.
And I think that's exactly what he's thinking, right?
Yeah.
When they talk about riding it. Oh, and also shout out to the Witches of Dathomir.
Oh, that
talks
was
about that.
Yeah,
It says the
that was
Witches
so
of
cool.
Dathomir rode Rancors, and so that was kind of a neat little tie-in to Legends, because the witches really do ride Rancors in Legends, but also to just the witches that we do see in Clone Wars. So just some fun little tie-ins there. But I think that he is absolutely going to learn to ride it. We're probably going to see some trial and error of that probably in the next episode, which could be some fun stuff to see. And just remember, this is a baby Rancor. This Rancor eventually will get huge, and I don't know how long that takes. I don't know if that's a super long process or if it's a fast process, but it's very small in comparison to what it will end up being one day. Mm-hmm. And so a Boba Fett continues to have this thing, it could get really cool.
Yeah, it could be really
and we
sick.
could end up seeing some really cool stuff because of it.
So one thing though, before we're getting kind of into it, but there's some speculations that I want to make here, some bigger speculations. And so one of the biggest things of why on earth is the twins just so 180 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things is either, and I have opinions, but anyway, why are they so 180 degrees? And one of the main things they said is that, well, this land was promised to another.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, and immediately something sparked into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Well, again, I it's a fleeting thought because afterward I knew it was not true. But anyway, Maul, the Crimson Dawn. And I'm like, wait, well, Maul's already dead. But I'm like, but Crimson Dawn still could be a thing. And it could be led by Kira.
Yeah, so
theoretically speaking.
Well, so when they said that, and they were like, I was literally sitting there saying, "It's Crimson Dawn. It's Crimson Dawn. It's Crimson Dawn."
That's awesome.
And then they said it was the Pike Syndicate, but.
See, I think the Pike's just deployed. They're the lackeys. They're the foot soldiers. Because
Exactly.
we know when Maul took over that he with the Crimson Dawn, he took all the syndicates over. He was the head.
A couple of things to keep in mind here. First of all, the Hutts. The Hutts were. There used to be a bunch of Hutts. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a whole council of Hutts.
Yeah.
And in the recent comics. In the War of the Bounty Hunters, Vader goes through and kills them all. Okay,
Nice.
In typical Vader fashion,
Yeah.
he was sick of them. They were trying to mess up stuff, so he just kills all of them.
Yeah.
Also, in the War of the Bounty Hunter, for those of you who don't know, Kira is back. She's back, and she is self-proclaimed leader of the
Crimson Dawn.
of the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
So, and when we think about where we are in the timeline, actually, let me just pull that up real quick so we can really think about this here. So, one second, I'll pull it up. But War of the Bounty Hunters in the Star Wars timeline takes place around 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. Okay.
Okay.
So, Return of the Jedi also takes place 4 years after.
After
A New Hope.
Oh, okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
4 years after A New Hope. So, this War of the Bounty Hunters is kind of leading towards Return of the Jedi. So we know that when it gets to that point, Kira's already back involved as the leader of the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
So moving past that, we know that the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We know that Boba Fett, as we've seen, is coming out of the Sarlacc pit not long after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, you imagine pretty soon.
So when we see those flashbacks, we're seeing 5 years before what we saw of him in Mandalorian. the book of Boba Fett takes place not long after The Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah.
The main part of the show, right? So you would assume it is also around that 9 ABY.
Yeah.
Which ABY is after Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
So Kira, it's kind of up to what they do in the comics with Kira at this point.
Yeah.
But Kira could very much continue to build up her crime syndicate and continue to grow those, have the Pikes under her syndicate, which I think they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have any remaining Hutts under her syndicate. And if you remember, Fennec tells Boba we'd have to ask, or we'd have to get permission to kill the twins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. From who?
From who?
Exactly. And clearly there's some overarching figure that they're all kind of like not afraid of inherently, but respective of, and they're like not wanting to cross. So who is that?
And who do you get permission to kill a Hutt? Well, used to it was probably the Hutt Council of some kind.
Hutta and
but now I would venture there's a good chance it could be Kira.
Yeah.
And so yes, I think the show could very well be hinting at either a future appearance of Kira in the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that she's going to show up in this show?
That's a good question. It would be a very interesting tie-in, but with so many years later, I don't know what they'd have to do with the aging and stuff like that. But, man, I think they could. I think they could, because we've had so many rumors about them continuing the story of Solo, right? Which, again, we've talked about it many times. Why would they do that unless they're going with the direction of the Crimson Dawn Akira? And we've had rumors that they might have a show for her, but it would be interesting that they would bring her in the Crimson Dawn in on this show, which is kind of already insinuating that they might be a factor in. So, yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if they brought her in, because I don't know how they would do it necessarily, but I could definitely see it.
Well, and this is 19 years after Solo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's really not. She wouldn't have to be like an old woman, right? She's what, 20 maybe younger.
Really think so?
In the show,
in Solo?
Right? Because she's.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I would imagine like mid to late 20s personally, but
I think that there's actually like canon answers for that,
probably.
But I don't remember in the books.
We're not that we don't like Star Wars that much.
I don't remember, but however old she is, she's not like it's not like she's like super old woman yet. So, and people have wanted more of Kira. This is just an opportunity to maybe bring her in. We're working with the kind of crime underworld stuff. It would be a good way
be appropriate
to kind of bring her in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Now, will it happen? I don't know. Will it maybe just be mentioned? Possibly.
Yeah.
And maybe it would lead to something else. I still tend to... I'm still trying to figure out, though, what the big picture is for this show. Like, what is the meaning? What is the purpose?
Yeah. What is it leading
for this
to?
Show?
Yeah.
What is it leading to in the grand scheme of what we know they're doing?
Yeah.
And so someone else you have to include in all the speculation outside of Kira is Thrawn.
Yeah.
Is
true.
there something to do with Thrawn for this? Because you assume that Boba is going to be a character involved in the whole Thrawn ordeal that we're leading to eventually.
Yeah.
So,
otherwise, it wouldn't even be a show. Because we
right.
already said it, but they've already mentioned that this is a part of the grand
how do we
scheme.
get Boba invested in all of it?
Yeah.
And you would assume that maybe something that he's doing is going to... So maybe he's involved with the Pikes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there
Yeah.
because you would think there's some kind of connection to him or something, unless I'm totally wrong, and I could be. And the event series has nothing to do with Thrawn, and that's possible.
Yeah.
But I think, as I've said
Yeah.
before, and I'll continue to say it until proven otherwise,
Yeah.
that we are leading to that a big event thing being a new heir to the Empire, and and all of these characters are going to play a role in that big series or movie or however they do it.
Sure.
Where they go against Thrawn, and you got Luke Skywalker there, you got Mando, you got Grogu, you got Boba Fett, you have the New Republic, you got and then Boba would have like his underworld that would help go against. You know what I'm saying? Like you would get all these different parts of the galaxy, and they're
like all convening against one force.
Force.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the direction it's all leading to.
Yeah.
And maybe a big part of this show is just to get him established as the leader of this crime world,
and him facing off with the Crimson Dawn.
So that when we do get to the point of that Thrawn series, that when he shows up with his big army of people, you'll go, oh, it's because he's the leader.
Yeah, it's because they've established. Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, 100%. I can see that happening.
And all of that is just pure speculation on my part. Nothing has even really even hinted at that being what we're headed towards.
Yeah.
But I think it's a future that I would love to see. Is all I'm getting.
And I think a lot of people would love to see it. And again, like I said, Heir to Empire was such a huge success.
Yeah. And of course, it's going to be vastly different than the original.
Yeah.
But some of those main core things about the story can remain in this new canon, and so I think it would be a great choice.
Yeah. So, we've been talking about this for a very long time. On an episode that we said we heard, there's many parts we didn't like. We actually had a ton to say on this.
We actually had a lot to say about it, and that's
got good things on it too. Though,
and I think that is that's a good thing, right? Like that we have this much to say about it.
Yeah.
And I will say there's a lot of I don't know. It's weird right now with Star Wars with this. We've watched 3 episodes now, and you have a lot of people going, "Wow, this is good."
Yeah. yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the response I'm seeing.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. Good. Yeah.
I'm not seeing anyone going, "Whoa, this is crazy."
This is Mandalorian season 2 finale.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anyone, but I'm not seeing anyone saying, "Oh, this is trash. I hate it."
Yeah, I have. But
oh, really?
But like, there's always gonna be some people who say that.
There was some people that really threw fit over the Teletubby scooters, and I can get behind that. But
yeah, I can understand.
But it's like this show clearly, unless something drastic happens in these next 4 episodes, this show is not going to be Mandalorian level. It doesn't appear.
No.
But let me tell you, this show was made for people like you and me.
Yeah.
And the fact that this show is purely a lore, just full of lore.
It's a lore builder.
It's a lore builder. It's more focused on building and establishing lore and things that you won't even pick up or realize if you've been out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's like The Mandalorian was so good about being for new people and like getting people into Star Wars. I would say the opposite about this show. This show is fully for people that are already invested. Yeah. Like this, you will miss so much more in this show if you do not have a grasp on the world of Star Wars.
Yeah. It's like the best way I could describe it is like in terms of Star Wars, right? What Book of Boba Fett adds to Star Wars is it adds width. It doesn't add length, right? Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily going a whole new direction. It's not really going super far, but it's adding width. It's adding depth. It's adding things to what we already know and giving flesh to the bones even more than it already was.
Yeah. So, it's been a little slow. Not a lot's happened. Mm-hmm. We've stayed almost completely in Tatooine besides like little flashbacks and stuff that like shows Camino, and I think that may be the literally only other location we've seen. And we may never leave Tatooine. I really don't know. It doesn't appear that they're planning on leaving Tatooine at this point. Yeah. But personally, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
No.
It's just different than what we had gotten. And listen, the Book of Boba Fett, we can say whatever we want. We can say it's not as good as The Mandalorian, blah blah blah. But what I will say is our biggest complaint about The Mandalorian is resolved in the Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. And that is that we said The Mandalorian was telling Monster of the Week stories, and it wasn't progressing story-wise at all. Mm-hmm. It was just like, it just felt like it was like just going off and telling little adventures, but like we were like, where's the main plot? Yeah. Where this maybe slowly, but like it's progressing that story. That's true. We're not just getting Monster of the Week stories here. Like it's telling the same. Yeah. You know, and so I have to give it credit for that. And true.
It's kind of like one extreme to the other, but hey, at least it's going the other way.
yeah, no, it is. But like I remain positive on the show. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it every week, and I still think we have so much more to see in these next 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to see some really cool stuff. And hopefully when it all wraps up, we're going to get a better idea of where we're headed next. And that's what I hope. I hope that it doesn't end and we go, oh, well, that was good, but like, I still don't really know what the purpose was. Yeah. I hope that we say, oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Now I know why this series happened. Now I know kind of where the direction is. Yeah. And that's what I always hope from things like this. Yeah. So, but anyways, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll say just the last thing I'll say, kind of honing down back to this episode, right? Chapter 3. What I'll say is this. Yes, episodes 1, 2, and 3 have been kind of slow. I did like episode 2 a lot more than 1 and 3, but long story short,
your dad thought it was stupid.
Apparently, my dad thought it was stupid. A lot of aerobics with the sand people. I guess I don't know, dancing aerobics.
Was so funny.
Anyway, we're not gonna get into it. But long story short, what I'll say is that yes, it's been kind of slow, but up to this point, it is really it's added all the necessary steps, all the necessary foundations for a bigger plot to come, and it's really set itself up for the war that is about to happen. And yeah, that's what I'll say is that I think it's finally set the foundation up to where it can be a launching pad for a lot bigger, greater stuff to come in the upcoming episodes. So
yeah, and the great thing about Disney Plus, the Disney Plus series is like, I feel like they've found like, hey, we can do heavy nerdy Star Wars stuff in these shows, and fans are gonna love it. And hey, you know, we can continue to make movies that are that everybody can come and enjoy, like the sequel trilogy. They tried to make it a brand new thing that everyone could come in and like it. And you know what? If the movies want to continue to go that direction, so be it. But as long as we can continue to get that nerdy stuff in a series on Disney Plus, fine by me. Yeah. Just make sure I get it in some way or another.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's happening, it's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. But we want to thank you all so much for joining us today. We had a long one for you guys, had a lot to talk about with that new episode. And hey, guess what? We're going to do it again next week, but it's not going to be on podcast format. Mm-hmm. So next week, we are actually going to strictly be on our live celebration. We are going to have our discussion about the next episode on that, as well as just everything about our podcast will be on that live show. So if you want to stick with us, please go and join us next Friday. Check our Facebook for times and all of that. And there'll be the book giveaway and also a big announcement for the future of our podcast. So definitely stick around for that as well. But, you know, you can please go and follow us on Facebook. Share our posts. Please, that really helps us. When you share one of our posts, that allows it to go to more people, and that means the world to us. So please, if you see our post and you love us, please share that post. We would thank you very much. So do that. Also, you know, you can find us in our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Some other weird places I've noticed that we're on, and we never put them on there, but they're on
how
there.
it gets there, I don't
don't
even know.
remember what the names are, but we're there, and you may
Apparently.
listen to us from there. And actually, our podcast now is even directly in Facebook. So if you don't have any
Whoa.
kind of anything else, you can still listen to us just directly from your Facebook. And also, we have our Let's Plays on YouTube, and also our podcast is on YouTube. You can find us there as well. But please, share all of this stuff with your friends, your family, your loved ones. It would mean the world to us.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I'm just.
Oh, I
I'm
thought
just-
you
I'm-
had something you wanted to say.
No, I'm just sitting here reverberating the things that you're saying.
Oh, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay, but
Just end it.
but may the Force be with you, and we thank you for joining the Jedi Eternal.
Jedi turn.
We would be honored if you would join us.